I'd like to call this meeting of the Whately Selectboard to order. It's 6 o'clock. First order of business is to review and vote on the meeting minutes from previous meetings. Are there any comments on the previous meeting minutes?
No comment. I move that we accept the minutes from the January 28th meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Next, vendor payroll warrants. Are there any comments on those?
No.
None from you, Fred?
No.
Okay, great. And then public comment, this time for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. Sir, and just tell us who you are too.
Okay, good evening to you all. My name is George Fenn, and I'm here on behalf of our company, Local Power, based in Williamsburg, Massachusetts. I've worked in decarbonization for the last 30 years with municipalities around renewable energy, such as in San Francisco, Ithaca, New York, Cambridge, Massachusetts. For the last 5 months or 5 years, we've been working on a waste project, dealing with waste. We became aware of it as a source of carbon and also a burden on municipalities sending it out of state, and also the PFAS crisis. Because PFAS are many consumer goods. So we've identified a company and a technology which we think could vastly improve the waste system and want to build a facility in this area in Western Massachusetts to essentially service the towns in the way that they're currently serviced in many cases, tipping fees, bidding out. So right now we're seeking interest from municipalities in this project and in this technology we've identified. So I'm just here tonight to ask if you'd be interested to have a presentation in which I describe this project in greater detail.
I think Fran Fortino needs to hear this.
I would
Yeah.
say it's a vote of health.
Yeah, is it, or is it the, also, he's two boards, one is Board of Health, one is Hazardous Waste Committee.
Both.
So I think both of those committees should hear. So can we put you in touch with them?
Yeah, if you contact me, the town administrator,
Okay.
I can get you in contact, or if you can give me your business card.
I don't have it with me, I'm sorry.
Okay. So
Very
you said George Fenn?
George
Two
Fenn.
N's?
Local Power,
Local
LLC in Williamsburg. I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. Very good. Anyone else, members of the public to comment on items not on the agenda? And I don't see anyone else on Zoom. Great, let's go then. First appointment is with John Boshin, the FCAT General Manager, about Whately representation on the FCAT Board of Directors. John, please.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak to you folks. So I've been going through the bylaws of Frontier Community Access Television, which I believe you had a part in writing. And one of the things in there is to have a select board member from each of the towns on our board. Currently, Deerfield is the only town that has a select board member on there. And I know for many years, as long as I can remember, I don't believe we had anybody, not even the select board member or even the resident from the town of Whately serving on the committee. And I feel it's very important to have a select board member on there because it's not only part of the bylaws, but it will also help FCAT in steering the direction the organization goes. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. The station was founded in 2006. A little bit of a time, thank you very much. Give you a little bit of a history. When the station was founded, we didn't have technology like this. What we had was cable. I don't even think we had high definition then. YouTube was just coming out. It wasn't even owned by Google. Google had their own video platform, if I believe, Google Video. Jumping ahead 20 years, we're not recording the meetings with cable now. We're using Zoom and streaming, and there's a lot of input we could use to help guide us with just the technology interest. And actually a good example of this, I was looking to update the technology in Deerfield, and I approached Brian Domina, the previous town administrator, about doing something similar. And this was back in 2022 when I took over 2023, and he said, no, we're gonna go with Zoom because the technology we were looking to update it with was well over $10,000. This, on the other hand, I believe Jessica told me she doesn't have an exact number. All right, I'm not gonna quote her, but
I will get you.
it was a lot, it was nowhere near the $10,000
Yeah.
price number for this. I don't need the number, but having this input from the towns would help me and FCAT in making sure we do stuff that's right for the community, to make sure that we're proudly serving everybody. I know that automation, especially with the meetings, is probably the most important way to go, because this way we can even divert staff to cover other community events, like more of the school functions, as well as other presentations, which is also a very important part of serving our community as well. So I hope that maybe you guys would consider, if you could, whoever's interested in joining the board, it would definitely help us out. There's three of you, you need a three-sided coin.
Oh, right.
No heads or tails, really? You know, there was such a thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, my understanding was what the initial board was, the select board chose a representative, the school committee chose a representative. Some other person chose a representative for each town, and then after that, the board was to be self-sustaining. And the Whately part petered out after about 12 years-ish.
to my knowledge, we haven't really, I think with the exception of Bob Armstrong, we really haven't had any select board members, but I think in
Yeah.
general, just because the technology's always changed, 20 years from now, we may not even be using Zoom, we'll be using something else that hasn't been dreamed up yet. So I think it's important to have that
Yeah,
representation.
I think it is important for Whately, some representation there. I was the last representative and I was term limited out. I had too many terms.
This would definitely guarantee a spot, so
Yeah, but it doesn't, well, it wouldn't have to be a select board member necessarily. I think it would be good for a select board member to take a stint, which would be a 3-year stint on the FCAT board every so often. But we also have trouble getting people from the community involved. We had our 80-something-year-old, now, who passed away, so she's not gonna be available to be on the FCAT board. But I remember at the time really trying hard to get anybody interested. It was really just hard to get anybody willing to, come out and do something in that strain.
One thing I will add too, and I don't know how much you guys follow us, but there is a bill that they're trying to get into the office to expand to streaming services too. So it's not just limited cable. And I think that would probably help to get more interest in this, because everybody my age I talk to, they don't have cable, they have Roku's.
Yep.
And I'm kind of hoping that might help stir up some interest from sort of the younger generations around my group and everything.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you know, like, which kids are from which towns, because I know a lot of Frontier kids are there any kids from Frontier who are also from Whately, whose parents might be interested?
Yeah, that's something else too that we could look into.
Because there's 3 spots. And I think, as far as I know, we haven't had a person in those spots in a long time.
And the reason why though I suggest maybe having a select board member do it is so that there's a guaranteed position too,
Yeah.
which is why I bring it up.
Yeah.
But again, I realize too, you guys are a volunteer committee and you only have so much time too.
How frequent are the meetings?
We do them bi-monthly. They're usually, I was looking into doing them on Tuesday nights, maybe Thursday nights, because select boards tend to meet on either Monday or Wednesday, and this way somebody could be present.
You say bi-monthly, twice per month, or every other month?
Every other month,
Every other.
Oh,
my mistake,
much easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
They used to meet every month before the pandemic, but then they cut back because of just with everything going on. But I found that the 6 meeting thing works. One meeting is the annual meeting. And then another is the budget meeting, and then we just do the others throughout the year as well.
That makes sense, because when we were starting out, we really needed monthly meetings, because we're trying to get, but you're in a very stable position.
Right,
Yeah.
so, yeah. One thing I will note is I'm trying to look into ways to try to help improve the audio situation with recordings. I think the owls are great, but there's something, I do notice that they are kind of a little muffled, like unless you're like me, who knows how to project well or close to it like you guys are, it's gonna be hard. So I am looking into a mixer or microphone system that might work. I'm still working on that, but hopefully in the coming months.
Yeah. I think Julie might be interested.
If it's every other month, I'd be willing to do that.
I'd make a motion that we appoint Julie Wagner to the FCAT Board of Directors.
Second.
All right, we'll get back to you on our next meeting.
Hold on, she's not voted in yet.
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. now-
Okay.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And on that note, unless you have any further questions for me, I will let you guys continue with your meeting tonight, so.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank
Thank
you,
you.
and thank you, Julie, for
Thank
taking
you
on the
for
role.
work you do with it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. It's been a privilege to serve this town. So one of my favorite projects I've done was that 250th highlight reel,
Oh,
the 45-minute film I
Yeah.
did. That was a fun film to do, so. Thank you for all the opportunities you guys have provided me as well, so thank you.
thanks, John. All right. Great, we have
I'm
one.
on AV Club.
All right, great. We have one item of old business, to continue the discussion and potentially vote on next steps for the center school property. And that, I believe is why Jonathan is probably here. I just, so it's kind of summarized where we left it was, central committee presented, 4 options that they looked into. 2 that involved housing that might pay for themselves, but had other problems and were not the top choice of the committee. And 2 other options that involved, businesses. The one I can remember better is the one where there was a commercial kitchen and maybe a daycare center and an art gallery, or I might have the wrong combinations there.
I think they were the 2 separate. One was daycare.
Oh, one was daycare,
The other was.
and the other one, and maybe a co-working space. And those ones would probably not pay for themselves. They might need something of order a few $100,000. If I remember it, 300,000, 350,000. And those are estimates, so the error bars are large on those. Anyway, students are watching big error bars on those. I mean, because they're estimates and we don't see the future very clearly. So I wonder if anybody has had any more thoughts about that.
I still like it, the community kitchen sounds like. That was my
Yeah.
preference on the way to go for that.
Yeah.
But you see the avenue to pursue, who first?
Yeah.
That was their preferred, that was the center school committee.
up, please?
Yeah,
I'm very sorry. That was the center school committee's preference as well, right? The community kitchen,
The mixed use,
mixed use,
including the community kitchen.
including the community.
And the reason it was, just for clarity, was that it's sort of like diversifying your investment portfolio.
Yeah,
We don't want to rely on any one revenue stream over another, so that, one revenue stream might be having a good time, another revenue stream might not be having a good time, and then those things flip, just like your investment portfolio. So if you have a few different options that are somewhat complementary of each other, the other benefit of the kitchen would be that you could have someone open it up for selling morning coffee, because we all know the community traffic that goes
Right.
by center school. It's phenomenal. And they never stop, they just drive through. So there are a number of different ways to skin that cat in terms of making sure that, as Joyce points out, it does pay for itself. Because there are a number of grant opportunities that we will continue to look into, including state money, economic development bills, et cetera. So it just will, if we mix ag and economic development, that has our best shot at getting investment dollars. If you just do ag, or if you just do economic development, or if you just do childcare, it really limits your window of opportunities. And we're beginning, so please know that these numbers, and that this is just to make sure that you guys are aware and to let us continue, but please know that this is not a.
Yeah, right, these are not hard and fast numbers.
Right.
No.
These are, no one is, it's not like these ones we got from Berkshire here, which I put in a spreadsheet, I it's something, anyway, it's later.
Right, and if I understand correctly, so some of the grants are competitive, so they're not guaranteed.
And everything's competitive, yeah, I mean, and especially right in today's day and age, even as an example, there's a state childcare grant that comes out every year and goes to childcare facilities. You don't know what that dollar amount is, it's non-competitive, but you don't know what that grant will look like, much like school funding or anything else, until the money hits the account.
Well, I have warmed to the idea of either the community kitchen or the child care, and if it really seems more feasible. I mean, on paper, they looked equally feasible, according to the estimates, but, I guess I would defer to the committee that's been working on this and
Yeah.
looking into grants and kind of assessing what are those numbers really mean.
And I've always liked the idea of keeping it a public accessible building rather than private,
Yeah,
housing. Much as we have a need for housing, I don't think that is the answer.
Right, can I ask what you mean by public as opposed to
Meaning that it doesn't become just private homes.
owned property, you mean?
What?
Owned
privately,
privately, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
also
there-
be
no,
obligated.
and even if somehow it's still owned by the town and so like, it's a private residence.
Yeah.
Or a couple of private
Right.
residences as opposed to facilities that the public can use.
Yeah,
Right, mixed use types of things,
What-
access for.
Because not private residential.
Entrepreneurs, that's it.
in terms of you being able to go after grants, I see no reason to drag our feet on.
Yeah.
You know, giving you approval to move ahead with the mixed use.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, so I,
The
so we,
committee's filled with a lot of people who've written a lot of grants, so.
so we do, the select board does have to approve applying for any grant first.
Each individual, or can you give across the board, if you find a grant, feel free to apply.
I would not recommend that, only because of the restrictions and the requirements of those grants, we need to see them to make sure that we're not committing to something. That's why the board has to be able to commit to
If
those.
they're matching funds or something.
Or any, yeah, or maybe there's gonna be a conservation restriction or something that's gonna be required to be put on. They need to be able to say, okay, that is a little too far for us to go and agree to for that grant, so we do need to, the board does need to be able to.
Yeah.
Sign off.
so on level. Pursue lots of grants, but we're gonna have to run it through
Yeah.
the mill to make sure what we're committing to, so.
Okay,
So-
what's the time frame on that turnaround?
You submit it to me and we get it on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay,
It'd be- Yeah, matter, I would say weeks,
Yeah,
not very long.
Judy did have, some notes that she passed along.
I find that really hard to believe. So I'd like to try and get more clarification.
So as you know, I think we sent it along, or they sent it along, that Jim Hawkins did confirm that as far as the zoning designation is concerned, or the zoning district, that it's an allowable use, it likely would still need a special permit, but at least it's not a prohibited, yeah. They did have a couple questions, though. The first is trying to understand where the connection or lack of connection needs to be between the center school committee and the municipal building committee. Should there be a relation there, or? Yeah,
Is this somebody from the building committee already on the central committee?
No.
Oh,
I see them as really separate
Yeah.
projects. Or
they're not gonna be
separate-
used by the town, it's just gonna be owned by the town.
Right. And certainly in the development of it,
Yeah,
that having a committee dedicated to that is better than the building committee, which is working on other things at the same time.
yeah, I would agree with Fred that it's,
Yeah.
two separate things, that the Senate school shouldn't be
Right,
advising the municipal building committee or vice versa.
I mean,
Yeah.
if we need to somehow authorize the center school committee, you know, as a full-fledged committee, I don't know what its status is.
They are a committee.
They are, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know if they
they're
were advisory, you know, strictly advisory, but,
No, they're appointed.
okay,
Yeah, you appoint them annually.
okay.
The other question was, I guess a number of years back, the select board may have been looking into, a, easement for the milk bottle. And
Oh, right.
Judy just wasn't sure what happened with that. Was that something the board was still interested in?
I think when the vote on that RFP went down, that all got dropped.
Yeah,
And there, honestly, that it was not the board driving that, it was the way the historical society worked it. Because it's their milk bottle,
Oh, the desire. Okay.
yeah, so.
I think the question there is.
Yeah.
What is the best legal approach to doing that? Is it an easement to the milk bottle? Is it moving? Getting a change in the property line such that the milk bottle then goes into the right of way?
Do you remember if the need for the easement was solely based on the fact that the town was considering selling the property?
that's what I
It was that-
understood.
So if the town's gonna retain ownership, there wouldn't be a
There's-
need for.
It would probably,
Yeah,
that's,
right,
There's other, and into any agreement, you know, lease or whatever, would have to be written in who's responsible for maintenance and all that.
or making sure that the tenants don't touch.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right,
right.
and
That,
those
well,
were-
mostly that it is
yeah,
the purview of the historical society, not the, not the
Right.
responsibility.
Yeah. okay,
We've talked about a series of covenants, actually,
Okay,
beyond, and I don't know what they would be, but the milk bottle would certainly be at the top of that covenants list. But for any historical building, you're gonna have a series of covenants in terms of do's, don'ts.
Yeah.
Types that, you know, so that's more to come from us then.
do you know if there's any reason why Judy was thinking there was still a need for an easement?
I don't.
Okay.
I think that's just the kind of thing that keeps Judy up. at night.
Cause I don't see if it
And-
retain, if
God bless her for
the
it.
town retains ownership, that there would be a need for. Yeah, okay,
except the historical society is not a body of the town.
right,
It's a separate entity.
Right.
Um,
Therefore, the easement might be called for.
but they currently,
Yeah,
the situation of ownership and access is the same now as it would be in the future, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that what it is now is right.
That's right, yeah, yeah,
oh,
But you know, if it was the historical commission, let's say, okay, that's the committee of the town, no
that
problem.
is just an.
But the historical society is a separate entity.
But I can foresee, just blue sky is, if suddenly a daycare was put in there, well, there would be restrictions around 3-year-olds.
yeah,
3-year-olds, something against them, but they're 3. Or if you decided to open up a cafe of some kind from during rush hour time periods, there would be covenants for them, as the milk bottles in Armand's an historical
Yeah,
item.
okay,
I think the consultation with council as to what the appropriate, what the best way to
Yeah.
deal with that is.
Yeah, I guess it just really comes down to what the need
right.
is.
I mean, it's, I don't, I
For
think it's,
maintenance purposes, because the historical society needs access for maintenance, that's one thing, but.
Right.
Right now, it is accessible to the public anyways, the public could walk up to it and push it over, or. Little
But they
kids
wouldn't
could
do-
draw on
wouldn't
it.
do that.
What
Do not
I'm
do
saying
that.
is, the situation is the same, so what are we really trying to get at here? So,
Yeah,
I mean, this isn't a matter of urgency, we're a
No.
long way from
yeah,
needing to.
it's not gonna hold up.
okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, take care.
All right,
do we need to vote?
oh, do we actually need an official vote? It seems like we're sending him off, but.
I think we're just sending them off with a message.
I mean, you could
Keep
take
doing what you're doing.
You could take a vote.
Keep
It's up
doing
to
what you're
you.
doing, we were good with your priorities. And son,
See ya.
it's gonna be on YouTube in a matter of hours.
Yes.
All right. All right, we got a bit of new business, it doesn't look like it will take too long, until we get to the end, so let's get these things sorted out. First annual town meeting, we need to confirm the date, June 2nd, 2026, for the, bylaws that we have now, and the vote to open the meeting warrant. Was he happy to take?
Do we open the meeting, the annual meeting warrant?
Second,
All those in favor?
I
Aye. All right, how about the date?
move that we confirm the date of the annual meeting for June 2nd, 2026.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right, we're cruising. All right, next item is to discuss and vote on appointing Laura Ross to the Community Preservation Committee as a planning board representative.
Laura.
Go Laura, is what I'd say.
Yeah.
I move we approve the appointment of Laura Ross to the Community Preservation Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one is a financial item. We should need to review, discuss, and vote the request to utilize housing trust funds for an engineering feasibility study at 268 State Road, which is the former DeMaio property.
Which is what Jerry.
Yeah. Right, so I've looked at the Berkshire Design Group thing here. And it was saying that the cost is between 6,450 and 10,500. And I don't understand how they got that, because if you add up the column of numbers, one of the numbers gives a range. But if you add up the larger number, you get 10,500. If you substitute in the lower range for that one number, you get 9,300. And you don't get 6,450.
I can help you with that.
Help me, please.
Can I
Because
approach so I can?
you may
Put out
approach
paper?
the bench.
All right,
Absolutely.
I'll approach the bench. Couple of points, just to get right to that. Number 5 and number 6 are optional. So if you back out the optionals, that
Okay,
would bring you to the $6,500.
somebody zero that and zero that. Oh, now you get 60.
I'm
Okay,
always here to help.
you're amazing. So this is really a range of 0 to 1,850 and 0 to 1,000.
To 10,500.
And then, so if I put in the lower. So now items 5 and 6 could be as low as 0.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct, but I guess my recommendation would be to consider that. Could I give just a little bit of quick background,
please.
just to try and explain before we go too far into the number that's.
Yeah.
I assume you're all familiar with the location of the DeMaio property. Back that burned, it's been abandoned, there's no tax revenue currently from the site. The housing committee has been exploring the concept. And picking up on some prior studies that were done of putting residential housing into that zone. There was a firm called VHB that a number of years ago did a very pretty proposal, but had no depth to it. And when I first saw this as a member of the housing committee, I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, particularly with the way that they've carved up the buildings relative to the septic side of the equation. Because one of their concepts is to put the septic system underneath the parking lots in the front, which is very expensive. The other is to mound it along the sides of a building, which then takes away from the ability to put in green space. Can't build on it, can't get near it. And the traditional septic system, not to go into too much detail, but they're linear. And that takes up a lot of buildable space. What I think would work better for the town and satisfy a few areas, in particular the 40B threshold, which for the town is 10 units of affordable housing, currently only 2, which means the town does have exposure for an outside developer to come in and drop in a project, and the town not have as much of a
opportunity to control what that might be, what it might feel like, what its purpose might.
Jared, if I can just interrupt, I just
Sure.
want to go back for people who are watching, not familiar.
Sure,
The site is about a 4-acre site,
correct.
of which 50–60% is unbuildable because the stream runs through it and it's environmentally sensitive.
Correct.
So
With wetlands
with
behind it.
wetlands in it, which makes the septic situation that much trickier.
Yeah.
Having that
Correct.
potential, and I just want.
No, that's,
Everyone understood that,
Because we
sorry,
can't just
sorry to
dump it-
interrupt.
We can't just dump it in the street.
can't,
We-
Well, and you can't use a whole
Well-
part of the property.
theoretically you could, but because there are systems that clean it, similar to the wastewater that's dumped into the Connecticut.
Oh,
But the opportunity to install one of those in Massachusetts into a clean stream, according to my discussions with the Board of Health, be tied up in court for years, don't even think about it. But I did look, when I saw this original plan, at the concept of what they call alternative wastewater treatment plants, which are mini facilities, which take up a very small footprint, and they can be perked, water discharged, not in a straight line, but they can be moved around a building, moved around trees, as long as they perk out enough, which really opens up the opportunity relative to site design. The VHB had a series of townhouses, 12 townhouses, where maybe a building, but parking in the front or parking in the back. The downside of that approach is if it's parking in the front, basically Route 5 spills into your building because it's all just a sea of cement. If it's parking around the back, that disrupts the ability for the back of that property to have a lot of green space, because now you're with cars. And so it would depend on the developer current costs, but I've seen situations where you do garage underneath, podium, and then apartments above. You have an elevator to take you up. And that would really maximize the footprint if we could do it. So I went down the path of alternative treatment plants, have talked with the Board of Health a number of times about its concept, and there's some appetite for it. But the most important thing to do is really to understand what they call the hydrology of the property. The VHB study that was done does not address this. Hydrology meaning how much septic can that property actually handle as a physical asset. Because you have to take not only the discharge of the sewer, but you also have to also consider water runoff from the rooftops, etc. So you have to have a place for that water to go. So the hydrology of that site is critical. Until that's understood, and that's what the Berkshire proposal is addressing, we can't really say, could this be residential housing? Can it support 12 units? Can it support 24? Can it support 30 to 40 units? And 30 to 40 units, 30 units is about the minimum for a real developer to come in. And I've been in contact with the Franklin Regional Housing Authority and their relative association with the Rural Development Authority. And that would be about their magic cutoff point, be 30 minutes. So the first step is, what can this site do? So I reached out to Berkshire Design, I know of them, and talked with their physical engineer. You have to have a physical engineer sign off with the Board of Health, say, yes, okay, this is correct. And so they've looked at this study, they've done their own forensic as best as they could, and they came up with what you see on, basically on page 2 of your document, under fees, a series of steps that will be taken as they review this concept. First is to stake out the wetlands, so we know exactly where those are. Second, and most importantly, is to evaluate the soil and do perk testing. We'll get to that a little bit more in a minute. Third is to confirm the topographic survey for the property. How does that property actually move will depend on where you can put septic and how much of it can be built. And then a feasibility review and concept and layouts, which basically say, okay, once we have the appropriate data points, what can you do with the property? And that's where the table lays out, and you can eventually work your way up to, I call it 9,500. Based on my discussions with the physical engineer, he does not believe, typically in a perk test, you do one end of the property, the north end and the south end. And if it's the same result, you don't need to put holes all over your property, because you're on a certain substrate of soil. It should be fairly consistent because it's not a very big range. If they found the two sets of numbers were not in sync, then they might require or suggest additional testing. So testing is done by a subcontractor. They come in, they use an excavator. If you rent an excavator, there's a charge for it, but the town has an excavator and an operator, so that I would believe would take care of that. The Board of Health has to come in and certify the results. They basically create a permanent record of here's what we saw. There's a fee for that, but the fee for the Board of Health comes back to the town as part of revenue. It's a wash essentially. So it's really, they said they could not waive the fee. They can charge the fee and then they can hand it back as a check, basically. So those two costs, I don't believe need to be inside of the proposal. So basically, what they're going to do, again, is come through, use two subcontractors, one to delineate the wetlands, a company called Wendell Wetland Service, and another one to evaluate the soil, a company called Cold Spring Environmental, subconsultants that have worked very extensively in this area, so knowledgeable people. They'll do the full survey. Once we find out, then it becomes an opportunity for us to say and create what I would consider to be a friendly 40B, so that the town could then put out to developers an opportunity to say, hey, we're Whately, we have this issues, this opportunity. We have 4 acres, half of it may be buildable. We've already perk tested and figured out what it can absorb. In terms of housing, we'd like to see some couple of concepts put in. One, we'd like to have some affordable housing. And certainly the Franklin Regional Housing Authority would like to support that. 2, we'd like an opportunity to not use a traditional septic system. We'd like to use a more expensive wastewater treatment plant. But we own the land. And while these wastewater treatment plants could be a couple $100,000, you might be able to find a way to sweeten that in terms of negotiation opportunity with it, because you own land. And so in addition to that, being able to coordinate with the Board of Health, being able to coordinate with the Conservation Commission steps, which I've already started in process, really allows you to say to a developer, we want to have affordable housing in Whately. We'd like to have residential. It's a blighted area that's not currently generating revenue. We'd like to do something with that there. So that would be the ultimate outtake. But first you need to know, what do you have and what can you actually build, or in terms of how much hydrology can be absorbed at that site. And that's what this particular proposal is. That the housing committee, we discussed this at length, identified an opportunity with a sign off from the CPC, feeling that, quote, what we're trying to propose is in support of community housing, and therefore housing trust funds can be used. So you don't need to go to a different way of obtaining the money, and can move pretty quickly.
And does that have to go to town meeting?
Under the,
That's
General
that
bylaw.
was appropriated already.
yeah, so under the general bylaw, the trust funds are at the discretion of the housing trust, and if it's over $5,000, the select board.
Right, the housing trust has not yet met relative to clearing up the process. So I'm not over my skis, but we're a little ahead, but if we can have the select board make a motion to approve based on the approval of the housing trust.
Yeah.
There's no requirement on sequencing.
Yeah.
The housing trust is scheduled meeting for March 9th.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you know exactly what information you need, and it costs money to get good information.
And it will help us understand what we can actually do versus this study, if you gave it to a developer, would say, well, how's it perk? And I'm not gonna go invest,
Yeah.
you know, whatever
no,
it pays.
no, that's, I mean,
Yeah, this will help sell the project to a developer.
and you know, what it does, it won't hurt for 30, then we have the information
Correct.
solidly about what we can do with it, and we look for other avenues.
Right, the Board of Health requires 110 gallons per day per number of bedrooms,
Uh-huh,
which would say you could, under these systems, you may have to use two of them, two smaller ones. But you could perk 30 to 40 units, so wider building. It's very expensive to build at the moment, but podium underneath or somehow.
I do
The
like,
opportunities
I do
there.
like the idea of having the garage
Underneath,
rather than a
yeah.
parking lot, because, just plowing. I mean, there'll be a driveway, but it's just, I love my garage. And,
If it can be done.
yeah, I think it can be done, I think that's.
Just in general, anything we can do to develop this property in the city, vacant for about 20 years now.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's been vacant 20 years.
something like that. My kids were about, I don't know, 8 or 10 years old when they came home on the bus and said, Mom, you won't believe this, but my house burned down, and they, you know, literally, they think that the bus would come down the end of the road. Just, what, is that, yeah. I remember that, yeah, it was good pizza.
I'm happy to hear you say you've been coordinating with the Conservation Commission, because it is a sensitive piece of land.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And we're all aware of the value of wetlands, environmentally, so I'd wanna make sure that there was, you know, not only delineation, but concerted effort and protection.
Yep. And the Conservation Commission has also expressed an interest in supporting affordable housing for the town.
Yeah,
And the Board of Health definitely wants to work it. And it was their suggestion, you better figure out what you can absorb
Yeah.
hydrology
Yeah,
before you even go down these other,
yeah,
you know, these other paths. So,
And CPC's on board too,
right,
with their support for housing in general.
all right, well, somewhere in the script, there's a motion.
I move that the board approve the proposal from Berkshire Design Group to perform an engineering feasibility study, and that it be funded with money from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Second,
If I can amend that, subject to the approval of the housing trust.
Ah,
okay,
Because we're,
Friendly
we're
amendment.
going backwards here in priority, so we have,
well,
so I
yeah,
have to provisionally approve it.
Okay.
Because the housing trust has not been approved.
okay,
I think the way the trust agreement reads is that it's,
I mean,
the
stop.
trust makes the motion that then gets approved by the select board.
Oh, okay, I thought it didn't matter which order.
No, I think
You
there's
think it
a,
does,
you know,
okay.
trust approved by the select board, I think we worded.
Okay, all right,
I move that the board approve the proposal from Berkshire Design Group to perform an engineering feasibility study, and that it be funded with money from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, subject to the approval of the Housing Trust.
Second,
all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye,
thank you all.
all right, great, thank you.
That work.
All right. So, the next one's gonna be a quick one. Review, discuss, and vote the appointment of Gwendolyn Kimberly as a new administrative assistant to the Agriculture Commission and Community Preservation Commission. I feel like we've been here before.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn Kimberly, I'd say welcome aboard.
I move that the board appoint Gwendolyn Kimberling as the administrative assistant to the Agricultural Commission and Community Preservation Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, great. Next is the sick leave bank policy. Which is an amendment to the personnel policy. A policy that this board controls. Basic idea for sick bank is if somebody has like a dire need, you know, I'll use myself, if I had worked for the town of Whately in 2006, I would have needed more off time to handle chemotherapy, radiation and surgery than I would have probably been able to do. I would have had to either quit my job or go on leave without any pay. We've had employees who were in a similar situation. But we didn't have a sick leave bank so that fellow employees could actually donate their unused sick time to allow the employee to have the time they need. So that's what it's all about, and there's a lot of particulars about the rules. The personnel committee thought it was good for the town to seed it with I think 160 hours, which is divided by 8, that's 20 days, right, of sick leave time. And if it's gonna be a sustained thing, it's gotta be something that the employees actually will donate to. We don't even know if it'll get used in any given year. My guess is it will be infrequent. But it's there because sometimes it has been needed. It would have been nice to have in place, and it just wasn't there. There's lots of like common sense things, like you can't like contribute all of your sick time. You have to leave yourself like a week for the sick time. You can't just give it all there and then not have any sick time for yourself. You have to use all of your like personal time and sick time and vacation time equally, so sick leave pay. Those are the two that I remember the most.
If you end up
Yeah.
getting approved for, let's say, 40 sick leave bank hours, but then you recoup in less time and don't need to use it, the unexpended hours go back into the bank. You don't get to keep it as your. The
Yeah.
personnel committee reviews any requests for sick leave bank time. Decisions are final. The sick leave bank is not an approval for sick time off. It's simply the paid time. Your department head still makes a determination if you can be given sick time off. So there's the time off allowance, but then do you have paid during that time off? That's what the sick leave bank is all about, is just the paid element during sick leave. So it's not that the personnel committee is now being asked to weigh in on whether employees should be able to take time off, paid or not. It's just, can they get extra paid time during it?
No, and then down there, kind of halfway down the second page, the personnel committee has some criteria. And the very first one is adequate medical evidence. And then you can take into consideration that they've used all of their sick time and personal time and vacation and so on. You can take into account their previous attendance record. So there's that's one thing you're allowed to count for, and also the availability of sick leave bank time. So I feel like we've covered a lot of the details, so that like when the personnel committee gets this, whoever they may be in the future when that happens, they have some guidance. What do you have to look at? And they could reject someone and say, hey, this doesn't look like you've used all your vacation hours. And then so there's some checks in there.
And on the medical documentation, it would be the same medical documentation that you would have to submit for FMLA, which still protects the employee on HIPAA regulations, but the doctor does have to stipulate that the employee does, based on their critical need X amount of time out of the office in order to recoup or take the surgery or whatnot. So we're not asking for any HIPAA violating information. It's still the same information that would be provided under FMLA.
Looks great.
Looks good to me. One proofreading
Uh-oh.
correction.
Oh,
section C1, fourth line, procedures that are scheduled. Good.
Oh,
That's it. Should be.
you think the tenth should agree?
There's a conversation to be had later tonight. She tried her best.
It could also just be me when I bring it in. But we'll see, I'm sure Susan had it.
We don't
right.
want medical and it's enshrined in the town.
Right.
With this edit,
Yep,
we include revision dates on the front cover, but then. I also on the second
Oh.
page, I was noting the potential update to the listing of the personnel committee members. I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to do that, but that was also here in the red lines.
yeah, is there any reason to, like, the 2025, keep those and then 2026 have them separate, or is that just we don't
Unnecessary.
unnecessary?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically, this letter is just saying. Welcome to Whately, and these are your personnel committee members.
So that will change over time.
Yeah, so I would say you would want to update each
Let's
time, but
update each time we
you
revise.
revise it, yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Otherwise, we're gonna have a long list of every.
Oh, yeah.
committee.
At least we know who to blame for what.
Got a paper.
All right, I'm gonna entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve the new sick leave bank policy as discussed to the personnel policies.
Second,
All those in favor?
I,
aye.
Aye. Great, okay. We have one last item. I'm very happy to see, Jim is here. To, discuss and vote on potential town response to recent national events. And, I don't know if I need to read into the record, Jim wrote us a very nice letter, which I very much appreciate. Kind of spelling out, like who does the Whately Police Department answer to? It is, you know, the Massachusetts law, the police standards, and the people we serve, and I really appreciate that. At the end of your letter, and then it's just really clear that, I mean, this is so consistent with the community policing ideals that we base everything on this department.
I want to thank you for the letter. In reading it, the problems will come in that I see. In two places you say, if any individual including federally were to commit a clearly unlawful act, and then later these facts apply only in clear cases. The problem is cases as they're going on are never clear. That is the issue that
Yeah.
you have everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's very
Clear is not as in, like this one, crystal, clear as in, there's elements of a crime, the elements of the crime are met. But this is the appropriate action we have to take.
Even
There's
that,
still discretion.
we look at Minneapolis and things that appear to be clearly crimes.
Yep.
Are defended as not,
Mm-hmm.
and it is just, again, this is nothing against you at the department, it's just. When these things happen, they're never clear.
I live in the gray area.
Right.
I live in the muddy water.
no. I noticed one thing where you said, let's see, the officers are not permitted to obstruct or interfere with federal agents acting lawfully in the scope of their duties. So you can't obstruct or interfere. But I know you wear a body camera, and I know your officers don't wear body cameras. You may still observe federal agents under doing their job. That is something that you can do that would probably be very much appreciated by your community. Is being a witness is actually a very important thing, and you're a witness with the body cam. that, that you can turn on. And I understand not all agents, not all federal agents have body cams, and they may or may not do something about that in the coming legislation. But I appreciate that you kind of say, here's what I can't do. But, I do know that you can witness, and I think you would not be a witness that federal agents would consider to be hostile, or they would not fear anything from you. But your willingness to stand as a witness would actually be, I think, something that the community should know about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's our duty.
yeah,
And there you run into the same problem of clearly you said federal agents acting lawfully. Well, who's, you know, if,
They're
in
changing
some
what's
cases-
considered lawful.
right, what
Federal.
what is lawful?
Is that
In-
lawful in Massachusetts or lawful federal?
Or,
Well, I think there's federal laws, state laws, local bylaws,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
no, and what maybe,
we don't enforce federal laws, we enforce state and local
Right.
bylaws.
but what a federal agent may see as the scope of his duty may just appear to be pulling someone out of a car.
Yeah, and the disclaimer, this to me is, there's a lot of politics involved with this.
Yeah.
And it's a very contentious environment right now. And there's a lot of different states, a lot of different federal legislators, people that are involved, that are saying, this can be done, this can't be done. There's arguments every day as to what's lawful, what's not lawful. There's governors across the country that are implementing their own executive orders that are being challenged as to whether those executive orders are lawful or not lawful.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the political aspect of what's lawful or not lawful. If I'm sitting in my cruiser and a nice agent pulls the car over in front of me, drags the person out of the car and starts beating them, clubbing them, whatever, it's like, okay. To me, that's a clear situation where I would need to get involved. I would need to intervene.
that would be a violation of Massachusetts law, because in Massachusetts, you're not allowed to beat people up.
Correct.
Pull them out of cars.
But if a federal agent was to mobilize because of the current executive order, if the federal agents were to mobilize on state property to plan an operation that they're gonna be working on, whether or not that's lawful or not, that's the political aspect. That's the governor saying it's not, that's the federal agents and their agency saying that it's fine. So I'm not gonna get into the middle of those situations. Politics aside, it's just as clear can be, those clear violations of law.
Yeah.
That's
Good
it.
thing we don't have a courthouse, so we're a hospital.
But we do have a
We
school.
do have
Say,
schools.
for instance, ICE agents show up at a school and demand to be let in, but they don't have a warrant, a lawful warrant. Can the school call you?
They can always call me, yeah.
And what might you do?
There's nothing I can do. Because there's no penalties. Like, they have an executive order that says you're not allowed to enter into schools. These are the things that are being contested now. Who enforces that? What's the enforcement option? Do I then turn around and arrest the ICE agents? Can I give them a ticket? Can I trespass them? I can't trespass people, but the school, they would have to go through the town to trespass. I mean, what are the options? We don't know. Our legal counsel for Massachusetts Police Association, where we get all of our legal advice from. That legal counsel was spending like most of his days trying to determine what all this is about, who can enforce what. Because you have cities, you have towns, you have state police, federal police, you have all these different things, who can do what. And there's currently letters sent to the governor for clarification. And if she does decide to do what she's doing now with the executive order, then we need training. We need to know what we can and can't do. So we don't know. You can say that this is the new law, but I don't know how to enforce it. I don't know what the elements of that are. I don't know who's responsible for what.
in slightly trickier than the school situation would be a farm situation with people working out in a field and agents go onto the property without explicit permission and start hauling people off.
That's debatable whether or not they have the.
Whether they have
authority to do
the
that.
legal authority, right,
Correct.
exactly. You know, given our agricultural community, I think it's an important question for us to try to figure out how it would be handled.
Yeah, and those are the
I would-
types of.
I would hope that everyone in our community, farmers, anybody would feel that they can call you and then you will at least be a witness. I mean, it's clear from what you wrote here. You said, we do not enforce federal civil immigration laws. And are not authorized to arrest individuals based solely on ICE containers or administrative warrants. But they will try to do that. Now, what sounds to me like what you're saying is the fuzzy part is, are you allowed to prevent them from using their administrative warrants? That's pretty murky.
Those are the things that are being contested.
Those are
They can
the,
use administrative warrants versus judicial warrants. They say,
So-
yes, we can. Some people in the government say, no, you can't. That hasn't been decided. The Supreme Court decides
Yeah.
those issues, those things are probably gonna take.
so that would not be a clear violation.
Correct. It'd be a situation where we try to mediate it, try to keep the peace, that kind of thing, but we also can't intervene with federal investigations and federal operations as well, so.
But you can witness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you would, but because you wanna know everything that's going on in town. That's,
Oh, yeah,
I mean, that's the underlying assumption.
Yeah.
That you would wanna know, and you would
and
wanna.
this isn't new. This isn't a new situation. I've been in this town 26 years, and this is not the way it is now, but immigration customs enforcement, they've come to our area looking for specific people that they have warrants for. We don't help them, we don't go with them to look for these people but we know they're in town. They let us know they're here. Thank you. They go about their business, they do what they have to do. And I go about my business. We haven't had situations where, you know, it turns into a violent situation or there's a mob gathering together and throwing rocks and doing that kind of stuff. We haven't run into those situations. It's usually, we're looking for this specific person, we're gonna go here, if they're not there, we're gonna go here, and then we'll be out of your hair, we'll be out of your town.
But I think that the current situation is different because there's from the federal level, more of a general, let's go out and, you know, there's a group of people who are likely, as opposed to wanting, and, you know,
Yeah.
giving you the name of an individual.
That's the politics, that's the politics side of it.
I'm not
You can-
entirely sure what you mean by that's the politics, because it's really and truly happening.
Well, it depends on, again, not getting into all of the nuances of it.
Yeah,
What some people are saying is happening. Other people are saying it's not happening. Within federal agencies, within the legislatures, people are saying, well, this is happening. They're going and they're pulling kids out of schools and they're killing people in the streets and it's, you know, it's chaos out there. It's a civil war. So is that happening? Other people will say, no, that's not happening. There's
Well,
people that
that's
say why those things are.
That's why it's important to have credible witnesses,
Exactly.
yeah,
credible
That's
witnesses
the best that
and
we can do.
that you and your officers
Yeah.
can be. And that I think is really important. I think in those situations that are happening in Minnesota or have been happening in Minnesota.
maybe.
Having the credible witnesses there has made a real difference.
Yeah.
And that they're deciding to go to Maine next is not, I mean, they're just hitting all the M's, right?
No.
Minnesota, you know, damage
They
there,
haven't in Mississippi yet.
yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the school situation, just as a what if. I know folks who work in the schools and they're concerned that say, if ICE agents show up outside lawfully, they don't know what to do with the kids. They don't know if they should release the kids. They think that maybe they're gonna have to shelter in place while the ICE agents are out there because they can't release children or staff members to potentially be picked up. So if somebody calls you, would you come to witness at the very least,
Of
or
course.
possibly escort people
Of course,
from the building?
Yeah, that's what our responsibility would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite likely then that they would have to worry about going home and being picked up, but these are the things that people that I know are working, who are working in schools are thinking about. Do we do a shelter in place? So that we don't risk anybody being picked up. Lawfully or unlawfully.
It's a tough situation.
It is, yeah.
We had a reserve shelter in place, lockdowns, we reserved those things for, you know, a violent encounter or something that's potentially dangerous, so if that's the situation, if it's becoming potentially dangerous, then yes, if a parent shows up to a school and they don't know whether or not that parent has custody of a child, they're gonna call us. And we're gonna try to make a determination as to whether or not they're allowed to take that child, or, you know, if it's a teacher that's having an issue, so, I mean, we deal with those things at the school. But it's hard to say that if an ICE van pulls up, lock down the school, close the shades, shut the door down, call in everybody and, you know, fight to
Right,
the death and not let anybody come into the school. They may have a valid reason to be there. They may have a judicial warrant where they're allowed.
If they have a warrant, but if they
Yeah.
don't and they're just hanging out, people have been talking about if somebody's just out there, they have not shown a warrant. What do we do?
I, honestly, I would think that the principal would make the determination as to what.
Yep.
If there's something
Yeah.
suspicious going on, if it's clearly a law enforcement agency, I mean, they're not hiding in the bushes, like waiting to pounce on people. They're gonna pull up an SUV, they got uniforms, they'll probably come to the door. If she sees that, she can go out and talk to them. If there's a disagreement, maybe they would call us at that point. But, I mean, we get calls for suspicious people at the school and, hey, what should we do? And we deal with it as it comes up, as those situations come up.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think there's a solid, easy answer that says, if ICE shows up to the school, everybody do this.
Yeah, no, I just
Yeah.
wanted to have a couple of what if conversations.
yeah.
See,
Yeah, and knowing the current principle,
What this all is a what if
it's,
conversation.
it's all,
yeah.
and you can come up with what is for everything. If they show up here,
yeah,
looking to talk to the town clerk, because they want to find out where a resident lives or something, do you let them in the building? Does the town clerk have to talk to them? There's what ifs all day long. But again, I
I'm
think,
pretty sure the town clerk is not obligated to tell me the address of any.
yeah.
public information,
Um, maybe, but I think the demand that she tell me this. They say, look at your voter list,
yeah, the street listing, I thought every year.
well, the street listing for when you ran 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Nice, no, I'm, that's a good what if, yeah.
It's a very complex situation. I just tried to make it broad in the sense of, this is the kind of our responsibility, like you say, as a witness with the body cams, our responsibility is just to make sure everybody stays peaceful, nobody gets hurt, everybody is acting within the color of the law that we can see, that we're aware of. And right now, that's about all we can do. Unless orders come down from the heavens that say you have to do A, B, and C. We get clear guidance on it, then we'll know what to do, but right now, there's really no clear guidance on anything. As far as what's currently happening in the world.
What do you know about, Governor Healy's recent executive order prohibiting from civil arrests by federal immigration officers in non-public areas of state facilities? You probably know.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier.
Yeah. What do you know about that and its enforceability?
That was my point, was we're waiting for guidance. The state police are waiting for guidance to see how they can enforce this.
Yeah,
It's already being contested as to whether or not that order, that executive order is legal or not legal. She can make those decisions and say those statements, whether or not that's acceptable or not. That's so we're kind of in the sit back and wait. If something happens tomorrow and they decide, ICE comes and they want to meet at the Mass DOT yard on 116 and they want to get everybody together and the state police get called. something happens, they call us for help because things are becoming less than peaceful. I think everybody's gonna be looking at each other going, what we do? What the heck do we do? Somebody call the governor and find out what we're supposed to do. Because executive orders, they come out, this is what you have to do. Okay, what's the enforcement? What are my rights? It may contradict federal law, it may contradict state law, it may contradict our town policy, because the federal government supersede our state laws and and town policies, you know, those are the things that everybody's kind of looking at right now. So it's, I read it, looked at it, it's being analyzed by legal counsel, lawyers, it's being contested. There's a lot of things that are happening. There's some additional things that she wants to put on the ballot for voting to expand that to daycare centers, schools, and a lot of other
Yeah.
other facilities. But yeah, honestly, if it happened tomorrow, we'd be making phone calls to figure out what to do. We'd be calling our legal counsel. We'd have some sort of unified command with state, local, and federal agents, trying to figure out how we handle this situation. My experience in the past, as far as the federal agencies go, they tend, whether it's the FBI or the Immigration Patrol, they tend to come in, they're not looking at stepping on anybody's feet, they tend to want to work with us, and they kind of go along with what we say. They're not coming in like, we're the feds, we're here, back off, we're gonna do what we want to do. That's not what we brought
They did
into.
that in Minnesota.
Yeah,
That doesn't seem to be what's going on in other places.
In Minnesota,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of things going on in Minnesota. There's a lot of two sides to the coin stuff that's going on. A lot of stuff has happened in Minnesota where we've had national changes and laws, whether or not they were beneficial, whether or not they improved safety or not. It's debatable in a political sense, but I'm not here to debate the politics of things.
No, but I understand you're trying to reassure us and say that things have worked out in the past, but it's clearly different. They're doing states that start with M that didn't vote for Trump. And that's the state you live in.
yeah,
Maybe there's other reasons for it.
I
I wouldn't want to make a broad statement that says that they're coming to attack all the states that start with them. I
Well,
wouldn't make.
the start with them was a little facetious, because they're probably not gonna go to Mississippi. But they are definitely, I mean, Massachusetts has a target on their back, right? And so we do, I think realistically, we should think about
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and it's, I'm, you know, I'm glad it didn't happen here first. And we actually have time to talk about this, but that's not very good for the folks in Minnesota and now in Maine. Where they're, you know, they're struggling with this in real time.
And there's a whole bunch of enforcement going on around Massachusetts right now. It's just, it's not turning violent, it's not turning to the, you know, the way it is in the streets in Minnesota or maybe some other places
I
where
mean, it's just
things are happening.
tough to navigate up the street, finally got returned. How many months later?
mm,
You know,
6 or 8.
yeah,
And there's a lot of stuff happening right now.
Yeah.
And we're trying to kind of keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening across the country.
all right,
We've seen things happen in other places. We've seen knee-jerk reactions and legislation in the past that has. Can't say it has nothing to do with us, because yes, something could happen here, just like it happens anywhere. But it's like, if we're gonna make changes because of things that are happening, I mean, police reform was one of the big things. Because I was getting a lot of people when that whole thing was happening, people were coming to me and they were bringing me pieces of paper that, hey, you can't wait, we need to stop chokeholds and we need to stop this and we need to do this, and we need to do this. It's like, okay, let's go through each one. In Massachusetts, we don't do that, we don't do that, we don't do that, we don't do that, we don't do that. So those 8 things don't even apply to us, because it's already our policies in Massachusetts to do things this way. So what you're asking, we've been doing for 30 years. but then changes come anyways. You're gonna change the law to say that we can't do something that we haven't been doing anyways. So it really didn't affect us that much because we were already doing it that way. This is a little bit different situation because now things are happening where we haven't been dealing with the same situation. It's a potential that we could deal with it. So what do we do when that happens? And I guess that's the discussion that we're having
Yeah,
at this point. What do we do if and when that does happen?
okay. Well, I'll repeat the thing that I hope people who were watching this would say that we have good police chief, we have good police officers. And Jim is on the record as saying he will be a witness with his body cam. To, you know, if there is a situation that you should feel free to call our local police. And they will do what they can, and one of the things they can do is be a witness.
If nothing else, yeah, absolutely.
And it might be able to do something else, but at least,
Yeah.
at the very least, you can be a witness. Anybody else want to add anything more?
On the subject, no.
To the discussion with the police?
Yeah.
No.
No. All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
for
in.
the thoughtful letter. That,
Ken, if you can just stay for 2 minutes, I'm gonna do my update, but it will involve you. I've got a couple of questions for you.
okay,
Okay.
Resulting.
Did want to talk a little bit about the select board's response in general.
yeah,
Okay.
National situations, which may or may not include the police. I was pleased to see that Governor Healy was trying to take some legislative action to protect communities against ice in sensitive locations. It is, I believe, currently was read and has gone on to the House Ways and Means Committee under emergency status, basically saying that if it was delayed, it could impact residents of the Commonwealth. The federal government had taken away protections against arrest by ICE agents in essential spaces where families, children, and vulnerable people should feel safe, such as schools, hospitals, houses of worship, courts, etc. Governor Healy is trying to restore that within Massachusetts, because the federal government said, yeah, we can go in wherever we want. She's got some legislation prohibiting elementary, middle and high schools, as well as licensed childcare programs and after-school programs from allowing ICE or immigration agents to enter without a judicial warrant. Prohibiting hospitals, community centers, health centers, nursing homes, and substance use disorders. Same. Don't grant ICE access without a judicial warrant. Governor Healy is the commander of the Massachusetts National Guard, and her legislation would make it unlawful for a military force under the control of another state's governor to enter Massachusetts without permission. These are all things that I think are things in positive direction to, if they get voted in, to protect residents of Massachusetts. And her executive order prohibits any office or agency in the executive department from executing any new agreement under section 287G, which you know what that is, right? That's where you would coordinate with ICE.
Yeah,
You would make an agreement to coordinate with them, so prohibit.
enter an agreement.
Enter agreements, yeah, so prohibiting, but you don't have it.
We don't have it. I know some agencies do have task forces where they're parts of operation control.
Prohibits state facilities and other property owned or controlled by the executive department from being used by federal immigration as a staging area, processing location, or operations base for ICE enforcement. And yeah, that's about it. I was happy to see that movement because part of what we were gonna have this discussion about was how do we pressure and encourage our state legislature to take some more concrete actions to respond to the things that the federal government is doing that are putting some of our residents at great risk.
So you're thinking like letters of support to our non-existent rep? house? To our senator, to our.
I would say to our senator, yes.
To our senators, maybe even meetings with them to find out what's happening, to encourage them to vote certain ways or to support the
I'd
government.
have to go to this representative too, just,
Yeah,
even though this is not a federal.
letter. And I know there are some policies that the governor is trying to put into place to help with food banks, food access, food distribution, food access and energy. Particularly in these colder months, I'm not sure what the status is of those, but I think it might be worthwhile calling some of the local food banks. Which I'm happy to do and just find out what they know about it. And whether it's helpful or not. But I'd love to hear what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, what we can do to support these efforts, we should do.
That'd be, when, I'll come by and sign letters.
Yep.
I was say not necessarily on time, but within a week.
Yeah,
It's fine.
okay.
Ish.
Yeah, I mean, we have, now we're having meetings every week.
We are,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had talked with Pete a little bit about making another statement as a select board. Because we make our little statements.
Yeah, that's
which-
actually,
Which we made at the beginning of the new federal administration, just acknowledging that there were gonna be people who were gonna be feeling afraid. Or we're gonna maybe be having a really hard time. And I would mind putting forth something else about
okay,
our values and thoughts and commitment to the residents.
yeah,
If you want to draft
The
something.
town
Yeah.
would be happy to draft.
I think you'll be the one. Yep,
And so I shall.
okay. All right, anything else on this topic?
No.
Okay, we are up to select board liaison updates.
Yeah.
Let's let Fred go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
the-
Fred.
the building committee met this week and, came to at least tentative consensus of the preferred location for highway garage being to the east of what is now the transfer station, where there are now piles of debris, gravel, whatever.
That's scenery.
What?
That's scenery.
I thought it was like building materials.
It's piles of stuff.
Okay, I gotta pull a map up and I'm gonna look to the east.
One of the things we also agreed on was that in building a new facility, one of the things we would need to do is you have the highway department offices and other facilities in what is now the police station. They asked me to ask you to see if we can come up with what you would need to move here, so we can start getting some idea of the cost of what it would cost to refit the back area of this building
Mhm.
for police station. So if you can start at least coming up with, I would need, this many, offices,
Got it already.
secure, okay, fine. And then we can start trying to figure out what that would cost. So fine, that was one
Is
thing.
that something that you would want me to come to a meeting or just something to give you to discuss with them?
I think if you.
That I can ask questions, answer questions and.
Send it to Jess, who will distribute it to the building committee. If we have questions, then we may ask him to come in. The other question was regarding something you brought up to the capital improvement committee, that you need a new roof on your building. Did you look into a possibility of solar panels for that?
And I didn't look into anything.
Okay,
I know
I know
Garrett
that
knows
that
a little
committee got a proposal,
Yeah.
and with the dollars attached,
Yeah,
but there was nothing regarding solar, as you know.
yeah, I brought it up at the capital planning meeting that
Yeah.
Garrett was at. Garrett's the one that proposed
Right.
the roof. and, that he didn't look into that.
If you can talk to Garrett
Yeah.
and see if we can get some sort of proposal, because it's a good location for solar.
It's a good summer.
And we when we do the roof would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I can talk to him.
okay, that was what I want to,
I was
to
thinking-
hold on here for.
I have the map here now. What area are you talking about for,
Piles of refuse.
This area in here.
okay,
Between
so
the salt
some of
shed.
that is the transfer station.
Well, no, I
Oh,
mean,
no, so to the,
to the east of
to
the.
the right of the, yeah.
Okay.
east of here.
Along those, following up on that. The building committee. Is getting a proposal from a surveyor. To look at that location and give us. To hire a surveyor, to figure out exactly what a building envelope there would look like. How big a building could go there, to what, there's an easement that runs through there. What,
And even for,
Yeah, what's the easement for?
the easement is for the cell tower.
oh, so they just need access.
Well, yeah, they've got a wires, pipe, something running underneath that parking lot, which it can't go over. Right,
We can't replace it with
right.
slab.
Or the leach field.
So
The
I
leach
think,
field goes out that way too.
so I think that we, and also the question of how far, where exactly is the property line, so. The setback, how big a building, all those things.
Okay, so you're getting a
We
surveyor.
had a study by Western Sampson, which was more related to the building itself as opposed to the
Uh-huh.
location. So preferring this location, which would preserve the field. If this location works, but a preliminary estimate we got was $4,300 to do this survey work. There is the building stabilization fund that this money could come out of. But,
Paying for information.
right, so,
I-
so that was just, I want to inform you.
You're
What,
gonna
as a building committee is met, and we'll probably, as soon as we get a detailed proposal on the survey. Come back and ask for approval on that. But that will be the first step, but again, the committee met and prefers that location if it is feasible.
Okay.
But that doing that or anywhere else is going to also involve the police station, vacating the police station and assume, because otherwise. If we can use, if the building, the highway department can use the police station for office and some storage and other space, then that doesn't have to be built into a new building. Which would make it much more expensive.
Plumbing.
Plumbing, electrical, whatever, essentially,
Yeah,
what.
the building would
What-
really be for storing
what-
trucks.
What we,
Right.
for storing and working on trucks, I think it will be a steel frame, it will be heated. And it will have a bathroom with a utility sink and a toilet. And
Yeah.
I think that would be what.
Yeah.
All that is inside of that building, assuming that there is another facility. And continuing to use the existing building for storage, for having. Vehicles in overnight, et cetera, for as long as that building is standing. Or is, you know.
Until it becomes like a level,
It could,
level six.
well, till it becomes unsafe.
Tell us to agree.
But we know that building is slowly or not so slowly becoming unsafe. So which is why this whole project is
Yeah.
going. So
Okay.
just want to let you know about.
Alright.
One other update. South County EMS, the chief today sent a letter to the fire chief in Hatfield. For whom South County EMS do a number of calls in Hatfield without technically mutual aid, but there's nothing mutual coming back.
Right, nothing gets called out.
And proposing, but essentially saying, we intend to institute a $350 per visit charge to Hatfield, please, is either, please accept this or we will not be doing runs in Hatfield anymore. So
It's come to that.
it is,
No,
there,
I know
South
it
County
takes a lot to get there.
South County EMS did about 90-something runs into Hatfield in the first half of this fiscal year.
Wow.
Almost all of which were at night and weekends when Hatfield is unstaffed. And essentially, the three towns are paying for that.
Yeah.
There will also be discussions about mutual aid with Conway and Greenfield, which are the other two main places where we provide aid, but all three are very different situations.
Yeah.
That what we're doing in Hatfield does not really apply with Conway, and they're just
Yeah, they're
different situations.
Yeah.
So dealing with one at a time, starting with Hatfield, so clear, we're making runs there, we're getting nothing back. We're saying you're gonna have to pay for it. Now, the downside, if they say no, and you stop doing runs, it will cost South County EMS revenue, because we're getting money
Separate.
from insurance and whatever payments, but not a charge, nothing from the town of Hatfield.
Yeah.
So we would lose the other
Yeah.
revenue as well,
Right.
but
They
let's
should just
let's see what
join.
let's see what Hatfield says.
They should just join Scouts. Of course, they're in the northern part, of their county, so they'll have to explain that name at town meeting.
Uh, joining skins is also a possibility for Conway,
Yeah.
not for Greenfield. That's just all these
Yeah,
situations
that's right.
are
They're too
different.
far north.
They're all very different situations. Jeez, dealing with one at a time.
One at a time. I think that's a good idea.
It's turning into a county EMS,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
going to Charlotte,
DK.
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, but most of the out of area runs are Hatfield, Greenfield, Conway.
Oh, yeah, Greenfield is twice a day, every day.
But we get mutual aid from, they make runs into our area too, and I've seen the numbers, but we're,
Yeah.
There's a little more mutual in that.
there's more mutual in Greenfield. It's an issue, but it's not the Hatfield situation.
Oh, yeah.
So, yep, okay, those are reports. Thank you for letting me go first on that one.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
let's see, I was intending to meet with my liaison people, Cindy, Jess, and Amy, and then I got on jury duty for a week, yes.
Oh,
Now I've been playing catch up with that work, but I have something scheduled with Cindy for tomorrow morning, and I am following up with Jess and Amy. The water department had a meeting yesterday morning that I was not able to attend, but I'll catching up with Wayne about that. Apparently they were just finalizing their budget numbers for the coming fiscal year. And the Giving Garden is in its winter iteration of the food pantry in the lobby there. And I want to give a huge shout out to Melanie Skrosky and Amy LaValle, both have been taking very good care of that. Melanie comes in once a week to clean out the refrigerator. If you want to donate anything, cooking oils are always appreciated, and butter is a luxury. We've got a lot of canned goods and pastas and stuff out there too. So,
got a big old bag of potatoes.
yeah, huge bag of potatoes, and they put together a flyer that went home with the school children, or so that anybody who's having some trouble in
Yeah.
the February break,
I
feel
think
free
we,
to come in, get some food.
we should get a little stack of bags, cause that is a big bag. That bag of
That's
potatoes
like a
is like,
60-pound bag. of
it's
potatoes.
bigger than, it's bigger than Jessica.
It's like it's my size.
I think, you can fit Jessica in your car.
Yeah.
You might need Jessica to help you put it in your car.
Yeah.
So, but maybe,
Yeah.
maybe we could put, few paper bags out there so that.
That's a
that could be
great,
Yeah,
shared
that's a
among
good
them.
idea, yeah.
I figured people would just
I
run
may
over
even-
and take a couple of tape.
Right.
Yeah, they have, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I may have a little like a bag of bag with handles to donate them. Great. Geez, I haven't been doing anything. No, we're just continuing, the franchise negotiation is going on. We have a meeting. Friday of this week, we'll, our second meeting with the Comcast rep. And I'm sure that, I don't know what he's gonna say, but, you know, we told him this is what we need. He's gonna say, we can't give you that much, and we'll keep negotiating. South County Senior Center, they're doing lots of town halls. As we get more information, we're incorporating it into the talk. And actually Jen and I just went through a whole bunch more stuff this past weekend. To kind of clarify what some of the numbers mean, and there will be, I think maybe you all know this, but I wanna let everybody know. There's gonna be a meeting of the 3 towns. Select boards and finance committees focusing on SCEMS and South County Senior Center. As items that, well, we need to have a big talk with everybody. So I believe that's March 30th.
Yeah.
Which is a Monday. And I will be late. I won't be there for the SCEMS part. Because I teach until 6:30 on those, but I will be there by 7 for the South County EMS, and I'll get caught up with you guys on the SCEMS portion, because I'm there for that. You'd like to say something?
I don't know if you were gonna say anything else about South County Senior Center, but February 18th. They have the informational meeting at the town hall.
Oh.
1 o'clock.
Yes, there's one in Whately, and I'm glad you knew the date and time.
Yeah, I just looked it up, because it's the last one.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some more walkthroughs in March, and Jen sent me a link. I won't be able to find it very quickly here, I don't think. There'll be some more walkthroughs in March for people who want to actually see the site. Those are posted at the South County City Center website. So.
Did Joyce, get any further information on the security system, whether that is included?
No, I don't have that.
That came up here last time.
Yes, yeah. I don't, yeah, I did remember to ask Jen about that, but
I
That's
sent
it.
it to Jen.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she probably sent it to Craig and then. So that's it for me. And over to you.
So first thing, RRG, that's the company that we have a contract with that provides assessing support. They're replacing their on-site staff member that works as our assistant assessor for the Board of Assessors. Originally, that replacement was going to be starting this week. However, that person turned down the job. So they then offered it to somebody else. That person, Abby Green, will be starting next week, and will take over for Derek. Derek will cross-train Abby. On a related note, myself and the town administrator for Conway have been discussing some concerns about the service that we're getting through this particular contract. We've discussed with our Board of Assessors independently if they would be open to going back to a staff member, but a shared staff member between the 2 towns. Both boards are in agreement, so I likely will come to you with the intermunicipal agreement outlining how we'll handle that. And then looking at developing, I've already developed the job description, but coming to an agreement on the job description, how we'll handle which town does the employment. And then it would be an employee of the Board of Assessors, so the Board of Assessors of each town would have to agree on that person, but essentially. We're finding that the service that we were anticipating is not there, and so we believe that would be better handled if we hire somebody, but it's shared between the towns. That way we can offer more hours because it's split
More
between
attractive
towns.
job.
Exactly, yeah. So, more.
The RFP contract is annual for the fiscal year,
Mhm.
so it's up,
So we can-
it's up on June 30th.
It is, yeah, and it does have a clause to be able to exit from it, it has an automatic renewal. But you don't have to renew it either,
Yeah.
we haven't appropriated yet, thankfully, for FY 27, so this could be, if we can, quickly enough. Can be
Yeah.
worked into the budget.
Very good.
As you know, we have a community electric aggregation, or you may not know, but essentially we have an agreement where our electric supply is through a cooperative procurement process, an aggregation, which we just set the rate in the agreement that happened last year, that started January 1.
Yeah.
However, we received word from Colonial Power, that's the consultant group that assists us through this procurement, notified us last week that due to a regulatory impact, electric supply rates within the New England ISO, which is the grid for New England, needs to be raised, or had to be raised. There was a significant jump,
A penny, a little more than a penny.
a little more than a penny.
Yeah.
So it will impact all customers receiving electric service, including our aggregation supply, as well as Eversource's supply. So for those in Whately that are not on an aggregation program, you don't have to be in our electric aggregation. You can opt out and just use Eversource's contracted basic service or basic supply. The notice of the change has actually gone out now. We've posted it on our news section, but also on the aggregation website, for each of the communities in the aggregation. The information's out there. The rates for our programs will be increased by 0.0116 cents per kilowatt hour. There is that details on that in my email from last week.
Right.
I will be meeting with the Energy Committee next week just to kind of discuss where that came from. And at this point, that raise we had a rate that it's called the DESI. We had a rate that unfortunately seemed appropriate to accommodate for the DESI cost, which was a fluctuating cost. But because of the extreme cold, the need to the electric supply network to then utilize fossil fuels for backup generation, as well as other fuel sources outside of what was cured, the cost went extremely high. So we've had to raise it slightly, but it'll be locked in at this rate for the rest of the contract, which goes to April of 28.
Hey, just a quick question, budget wise, is that something with the current budget that we're proposing for next year, should we make adjustments for our department budgets? Should we add for that increase?
Well, the new rate was lower than last year's rate.
Okay.
So this probably puts us more in line with what last year's electric supply
Okay.
rate was. This is only supply. Remember the utility companies charge a delivery,
Oh, yeah.
and they get to increase their rates.
Which is usually more than.
So still, you should look at and unfortunately, those rates change frequently. But yeah, you might want to double check it, but it is a small amount, but it actually puts us more in line with what we were paying last year.
Okay.
Or in the current fiscal year, sorry. The fire department has received their new air packs. And the chief plans on putting those into service at the end of the month. That was a capital project, that we appropriated $183,000 for. It came in under budget, so, that was good, yeah. The trustees are currently, the library are currently, collecting quotes for the lower level painting project, which was also a capital project, that was approved at town meeting. In addition, they're also having heating issues at the library. They have solicited quotes for repair or replacement of the system. They did identify and select a supplier. And they will be using funds from a special fund account that's held by the library trustees, so it won't require any capital requests And they can move forward quickly. The new town website has gone live. It included improvements for accessibility. I believe it's later this year. There are federal requirements for accessibility websites for public entities. So this now includes improved accessibility for color, primarily for vision. There is audio readout for it as well for and there's multilingual translation in there now. And then with the hiring of the new assistant town clerk, the town clerk office hours will be adjusted starting in March. The new hours will be on Monday, 8 to 6 p.m., which they are currently. Tuesday and Wednesday will now be expanded to from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Thursday, the office will be open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The town clerk received a lot of entries for her I voted sticker contest that she was doing at the elementary school.
Yeah.
So she is planning to have a winner selected and announced February 17th, which will be next week. And then also just noting that the Dog of the Year contest is ongoing. That's related to your licensing of your dog. If you license and renew your license, you're automatically entered unless you want to withdraw. Contest runs until May 31st, and you can submit your application or renewal to the town.
Is there some place where, just because I want to see them, that we can see all of the entries for the I voted sticker
I don't
contest?
know, did she discuss it? She wasn't showing.
Has them, but I don't know if she was going to post all of them or just the winners. I'm unsure of what
Runners up.
process.
Yeah,
At a
Was,
minimum
but-
on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
okay,
but
The
yeah.
town-
it'd be nice to display all of them.
Yeah.
They're super cute. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
All right. Great, okay,
I move that we adjourn this select board meeting.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.